Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to social distancing 2020. Social distancing 2020. So guys, this is going to be a bit of a different video because I actually want to sit down, do a chit chat about life, and I want to do a chit chat about social distancing versus quarantine versus isolation, and just kind of give you guys like a life update on what is going on like with my family. So I have two little kids. Both of them are very little. My son will be 3, my daughter will be 1. So this has greatly impacted our family to the extent that I'm an adult, I'm healthy, but I have 2 little kids, and it's pretty worrying for a parent. This is just a little bit different of a video. So it's just to get ready with me. Any of the products that I am using today, they will be down below in the description box. And so let's get into this video. So I think the first thing that we should really talk about is, or that I want to talk to you guys about, is the fact that we're in this kind of situation right now and what it means. And to me, I can't believe that we've gotten to this point, and I can't believe that we're in this kind of social distancing, and I can't believe that the stores are as hectic as they are. I can't believe that jobs are no longer, you know, right now. And it's just a little bit shocking, I think. We did not anticipate this as a country, that, you know, this type of virus would hit so hard, even though we should have. I definitely believe that. I believe that our officials, state and federal, should have been, you know, duly prepared, because they knew this is going on in China, and travel between China, trade between China and all of these other Asian, Indonesian, like all of these countries, it did not stop when this hit. And apparently if I mention the exact phrase, I can get demonetized. I don't know. So interesting to see, not interesting, I think it's scary in some ways, but yes, very interesting to see somebody in my lifetime has never gone through this. And a lot of people just don't realize that nobody actually that's alive right now has actually gone through this. Even when the Gulf War was going on, it wasn't as big of a deal. And my grandparents, my mom's parents, are actually old enough to remember the World War. My grandma was in England during the World War, and my great-grandfather was actually almost called up for World War II. So the very older generation, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, they remember times like this where people were basically isolated. They were rationed. They were told what they could and couldn't do. You needed a note to do things. And it's just, to me, really, it's shocking coming from somebody my age, I'm 31, and knowing that, you know, this life that we're living right now, we haven't seen in 70 years. Longer than that, actually. 80 years. Since the 1940s. So yeah, 60, 70 years. It's been a long time since we've seen huge, drastic measures like this being taken. So my immediate family, like my husband, me, my son, my daughter, my job. So I was hired by a company, and with everything going on, I was told that my start date is actually going to be changing. And that's obviously not, what would you call it, surprising? With that, with all of this stuff going on. So both my kids obviously aren't in school. My son does go to daycare. And with that, his daycare is still open because it is an essential business. So my son is enjoying the, you know, time with mama and dada right now. And so, well, my daughter isn't in daycare. She never was. We were actually planning on putting her in daycare after Clay returned to work on his, off of his paid family. And so she was going to go into daycare then. So she has been enjoying the perks of mom isn't going to work right away, and she gets to enjoy mommy just a little bit longer. So she's going to be 1 in May, which is absolutely insane. And I feel like this video is so serious, but it needs to be serious. So as far as that goes, both my husband and I are pretty much, we're at home. And we don't go anywhere unless we absolutely have to. We have been practicing, it's called social distancing, if you don't know what it's called, but we have been practicing social distancing. We haven't even seen family. We actually live about an hour from family, so we wouldn't be seeing family anyway. We would be distanced from them as well, especially with the mandates that are going on. They say that you actually shouldn't be seeing any kind of immediate family unless you guys live in the same household together. Like you guys are already exposed to the same stuff. Yeah, we've been social distancing. We've been really trying to just avoid the whole going out type of thing. I've had to go out a couple of times because we ran out of groceries, and as you guys know, every store across the country, across the world is pretty much depleted of certain things, and one of those things is milk. So we've had to improvise a little bit. Braxton does drink a lot of milk. It's actually not a requirement, but it is a suggestion by pediatricians in the US that kids drink whole milk up until a certain age. So we've actually had to put Braxton on a different milk for now, and it's not going to harm him in any way because it's only temporary. So I've been putting him on soy milk. A lot of parents actually do that anyway. Some parents actually will put their kids on soy milk if they have a lactose intolerance or an allergy or a sensitivity. Braxton is on soy milk at the moment, and he doesn't really care. He doesn't notice the difference as long as it's hot chocolate milk. So while milk has been a little bit harder to come by, I've been able to find soy milk or almond milk so that we have that readily available for my son. And then my daughter, she's still on formula, and baby food is being bought off the shelves at an astronomical rate. So I had already slowly transitioned her to more of a solid diet anyway, but now she's getting more finger foods. So I'm pretty much trying to wean her off of the purees as much as possible. And I do have a hand blender, so I am able to make her pureed food if I have to. And over on my Staci's Moments channel, I am actually going to be posting some videos about how to make your own baby food, especially in times like this. Things I have been using to clean with when you run out of certain products like bleach. So that's something that I will be featuring on my Staci's Moments channel. So I do suggest you guys go check that out when you get a chance. Our governor has already closed down all non-essential businesses. So any business that isn't essential, it is not in operation. And you can work from home if your job has the ability to let you work from home. So that's a bonus, because if we're still in this situation when the time comes, my husband is able to work from home, which is great for us. And I feel like this has had such a massive impact on our economy, and people just don't realize that this is definitely one of those things that it is going to impact our economy a lot. And I don't know if people really realize how much it's going to. And as of late, I've been seeing in the news that China has, started up production again. They are slowly rebooting. And according to them, the pandemic in their country started in mid-December, though there's controversial news articles and findings on that it's possible that it started as early as November. And so that kind of makes you wonder, if it did start that early and they weren't banning air travel, they weren't banning trade, they weren't banning, even if they banned air travel from China to the States. There wasn't travel ban from like China to other countries to the States. So it really just kind of makes you wonder if this virus, this sickness, has actually been, you know, across the globe a lot longer than what we have known. And a lot of people got it thinking it was the flu, and because it presents itself as the flu quite often. And it kind of has you wondering if this virus actually came to the States a lot sooner than what people are saying it did. And it's really got me thinking about everything going on. And so, yes, I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of talk with friends. I have a lot of friends who are in the medical professions, are EMTs or nurses, or I have a friend who works in a lab as a research lab assistant. So yes, I have been talking with a lot of people about this like specific topic, and it definitely just wouldn't surprise me if this virus has been around longer than we thought it was, because we just didn't catch it in time from other countries like China and all the other Asian countries and the European countries. So getting into social distancing versus quarantine versus isolation. And I feel like some people just don't know what the difference is between the three. And I actually wrote a short blog on this. I'll actually post a link for you guys down below just so you guys can read more about it and become more informed like me. So the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of people just don't understand the difference between the three. And I feel like when people refer to I'm going into quarantine, they don't necessarily understand what it means to actually quarantine, like what the actual medical definition of quarantine means versus social distancing versus isolation. And so I definitely thought isolation was what I'm doing right now. Not going out except for when I need to, just completely staying isolated away from the public. Or as best as possible anyway. And come to find out, I was completely wrong according to medical definitions. And according to medical definitions, obviously what I'm doing is social distancing, which is what the government has been pushing for. Distance, social distance. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are doing right now, but they're not taking it serious enough, where the government may mandate a quarantine. And quarantining is where you quarantine for 14 days. That's what the preliminary quarantine timeline has looked like from people I've seen that have gone overseas and then come back. And so quarantining is where you don't go anywhere for 14 days. You stay home. You read a book. You watch TV. You eat. You sleep. You do not see anybody. You don't go outside. You don't go to the store. You don't have food delivered. You don't have anything delivered to your house. Like, you have no contact with the outside world. And I feel like every single time I hear people say, oh, I'm in quarantine. Are you really in quarantine? Or are you just socially distancing? And even when you're in quarantine, you're not allowed to see family. Like 100% you're not allowed to see anybody. That's the difference between quarantining and social distancing. Some people will go into a self-quarantine, which means that they will, it's not mandated by the CDC, which the CDC can actually make you quarantine, or any government entity can make you quarantine. And what it means to be isolated, which you guys would be so surprised at what it means medically to be isolated. And isolation is actually when somebody is sick and they are isolated from everybody else. So they're not quarantined, they're isolated. To me, knowing the difference between the three so that we can become more observant of what is going on in this world is crucial. And my reasoning for that is because people see quarantine and they freak out. But in all honesty, they're actually socially distancing. And that's the thing that gets me every single time that I see somebody who says they're in quarantine. Are you really in quarantine, or are you just socially distancing? And so using the proper terms for what you're doing is actually going to help people realize that, yes, this is a serious situation, but I feel like when people see certain words used, like quarantine, they get freaked out and they do stupid things, like go to the store and buy, you know, a lot of toilet paper. When you self-educate and you figure out what these actually mean, then you can start using the correct verbiage. I mean, everybody shares everything on social media these days, and in all honesty, I think everybody needs to be completely aware of what is going on. Even if you just sit down for 10 minutes and you read some news articles about what is going on, like you need to know. Don't read the political stuff about it's blah blah blah's fault, it's blah blah blah's fault. Like, that's not going to get you anywhere. What's going to get you anywhere and informed is going to, like, the CDC. I don't suggest reading any type of news outlet entity. They all have their own agenda right now. That's getting into a different story. So, like, go to the CDC, go to the World Health Organization, read their statistics. The World Health Organization actually has an update that goes on daily. You could become infected. Like, maybe you're destined to become infected at some point, but because you're socially distancing and, you know, staying away from people, you may be exposed later rather than sooner or never. So that's why social distancing is so important, is because it flattens the curve and it helps slow down the spread of the virus. And then in turn, it helps slow down people who are going to the hospital, people who need actual treatment, who have very, very severe symptoms of this illness. And that's the most important thing about social distancing. I take it super seriously. I have, like I said, 2 young kids, and I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want them to get sick. I don't want them to have to worry about mom and dad. I want my kids healthy and safe. Actually, if I could wrap them in a bubble, I would. Some people are actually on full lockdown. Like, I heard that San Francisco went on a full lockdown. And that means only people are allowed to go to the grocery store or to the doctor, but they have to have documentation of it. And that to me is very, very scary. So I got this makeup look idea from a friend of mine, and her name is Aubrey. She's actually on YouTube. I can actually link her channel below so you guys can go check her out. She makes jewelry, but she loves makeup like me, and she did a look very, very similar to this one the other day, and I was so inspired that I had to do something like this. And I never really talk when I do my mascara because it's not a very good idea. He's a man eater, make it work, boy, make it work. Come on. Updates to my channel. I will continue posting, obviously. I am going to continue posting about my Smile Dark Club journey as well. Like, I think you guys like those videos. Definitely seeing more of a change now, and it's just progressing so well. I'm very happy about it. I think overall the process has been pretty painless so far. So I'm just feeling a little bit of a nude lip tonight. This is just a NYX lip lingerie, and it's in lace detail. Nude, pretty. It actually matches my skin tone really, really well. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this video, and I hope you thumbs up it. Subscribe to this channel so you guys can see some makeup updates from me. This is more of just like a get ready and talk about what's going on in the world. And go check out Staci's Moments. I will link the channel down below so you guys can check it out, see what's going on with it. I am going to be doing kind of a serious talk on that channel along the lines of this one, but a little bit more focused. And I will see you guys later. Bye.